I just got finished watching the movie Looking for Mr. Goodbar, and this is the first time I've seen this movie since since I guess the '80s, maybe the late '80s. I remember renting it because I was on this sort of kick at the time. It was when I was really discovering cinema, and I'd seen Taxi Driver, and was getting into Scorsese, and this was like it was urban. I think it's supposed. I hear it's filmed in Chicago, but it looks like New York, and so it looked very sort of similar, gritty '70s, depiction of decadence and depravity. Um, but I remember the being absolutely shocked by the ending, the violence of the ending. And yes, this movie is like uh, almost 50 years old, so I don't feel bad about spoiling things. So if you want to see it without the spoilers, you can watch it. You can watch it for free on YouTube now. Just type in "looking for Mr. Goodbar" full movie, and you'll see it. Anyway, I finally watched it again after all these years, and um, I it's weird how this movie was had just completely vanished. It was completely unavailable to be seen anywhere. I don't think it ever was streamed until recently, until very recently. Maybe they just were waiting for Diane Keaton to die. I know that sounds kind of morbid, but I'm sure they do stuff like that. Because suddenly this is on. It was there on Amazon Prime. Um, Whereas I remembered hearing about how this movie just was never had just completely disappeared if you didn't have a VCR. That never went to DVD, never streamed until now. And now it's suddenly you can suddenly see it for free on YouTube. Um, but this is a weird movie to witness in a lot of ways. A weird movie to take in. It's really bad and really good at the same time. It just sort of depends on how you choose to watch it. Um, there's this is a very sensationalistic movie. It's you I get the idea of a movie being gritty and having and being disturbing, but this is straight up just sensationalism, and just reveling in it, just rolling in it. Uh, the acting, I mean, in a way it's good, but in a way it's just so over the top. It's sort of like uh, stage acting, which I guess this used to be. The way people acted in movies used to be different. There was a time where being completely melodramatic was just sort of accepted. It was acceptable. Nobody saw those performances in movies in the 40s and 50s. Nobody watched that and thought, this is just over the top. This is just melodramatic. Nobody talks this way. This is just totally phony, except for Holden Caulfield. I guess he was the one. He was the one guy who called it. Said that movie actors were just being phony. Um, there's a lot of performances that are I could see people calling good, and that I could maybe call good myself in a way. Let me try to explain that. Um, just whoever I can't remember the director's name. I thought that Paul Schrader had something to do with this movie, but I guess he didn't. you can understand why I would think he did. I think if you know Paul Schrader's "Au revoir," but I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm saying it anyway. There's so many performances that nobody, no, there's no, there's no subtlety. There's everyone just goes for it, and it's big and it's wide, and it's like people are leaping and jumping and swinging around, and just you've got a young stud Richard Gere, just like I guess in a way it's a great performance from him, but in another way it's just sort of like what's he doing? Why is he? Why isn't anybody telling him to just tone it down, take it down a notch or two? And the same goes for so many other, just about the whole cast. Some people, with some people, the overacting is more pronounced, just because they have bigger type roles. But there's overacting and there's overacting. I mean, there are characters who are over the top, but in the best kind of way. Um, in a way that doesn't seem phony, that seems real to the character. And the what I'm thinking of now is Dennis Hopper in Apocalypse Now. When he shows up, and he's this drugged out photographer living with these tribal people in Vietnam who worship Colonel Kurtz like he's a god. And he's just going on and on about, you don't talk to him, you listen to him, and it's just legendary. It's terrific. And you don't groan, or you don't inwardly think to yourself, oh God, just come on, what's take it down, take it down a notch or two. You don't think that. You think, this is great. This performance is really riveting and funny, and it's legendary. But in this movie, it's like everybody's that way. Everybody is Dennis Hopper in Apocalypse Now. The reason why Dennis Hopper's part in Apocalypse Now worked so well is because the rest of that movie is, everybody is just stoic, and and the pacing is very deliberate, and Martin Sheen's voiceover narration is sort of film noir, private detective. The only way to to stay above the bullshit. How did that line go? Out here, the bullshit piled up so high, you needed wings to stay above it. Lines like that. Um, and and then suddenly, in the midst of all this, like this 2.5 hour movie, 2 hours into it, this crazy guy shows up who's got a totally different energy. And it's refreshing. It's because it's so different. It's finally somebody who doesn't, finally somebody who emotes. Whereas in this movie, and looking for Mr. Goodbar, it's just all over the place. Everybody's emoting. Everybody is just, you think to yourself, boy, this person's really going for the Academy Award here. That's it's a performance. It's obviously a performance. We're watching somebody acting. Um, so there's that side of it. Um, but I guess if you take it on its own terms, then it can be seen as powerful, and it's filmed with a kind of skill there's like this disco montage at the beginning, a bunch of black and white still shots that's really well made, um, very stylish during the title sequence. Um, and there are other aspects to the movie that really call attention to themselves in a really kind of um, interesting, self-aware kind of way. Particularly the ending. The ending is what everybody talks about, and it's the really shocking moment that you don't necessarily see coming. Although this time watching it, there's lots of foreshadowing of what happens in the end. Um, and it just ends just you know all of a sudden with just the brutal murder of the main character. Uh, so there you go. There's me spoiling it for you. Um, and that's it. It just ends on that, and it all happens because she goes home with the wrong guy. But she's been going home with the wrong guy for like she's been going home with a ton of wrong guys. That seems to be what this movie is about, and that's part of what makes it an interesting as a cultural artifact, if you want to talk about it in that way. This was filmed in the 70s, released in 1977, in uh, the very height of the sexual revolution, before AIDS, and so it's it's very it's beyond risque. It's raunchy. There's nudity. You see Diane Keaton's breasts quite a bit. You see other people's. Do you see anybody else's breasts? You probably do. I don't know. I can't remember right now. But there's lots of sex, and and things are just crazy and chaotic. And she's this character who uh, has this sort of cliched background of being from a strict family with this authoritarian father who's just, again, every time the father shows up, it's sort of like rolling your eyes, like, okay, come on, stop. It's like you're hobbling around with your cane, and you're being all like like I don't know how to. It's just it's like watching a play. I've never seen Death of a Salesman, but but every time I see it parodied, that's what I think of when I think of this the father character. Just, oh, come on, you gotta do this for me now. Just and just his wearing his desperation on his sleeve, and being very transparently, uh, we see what's really going on. We see him raging and ranting, but what he's actually, but beneath it all, it's just this, it's all motivated by self-hatred, and uh, it's sort of tiresome. Um, but the again, returning to the aspect of the movie that I think is the most interesting thing to dwell on. This was made at the very height of the cultural, I mean, of the sexual revolution, um, but it's also it can't help but be seen as a cautionary tale. You know, it depicts everything. In a way, you know, uh, it puts it all on display. So it's not. Um, it can't really be called conservative, quote unquote, in that it shows just about everything, and people who would be conservative would never would be scandalized by what what gets depicted in this movie, that and how raunchy it is, and how, the how much sex there is in it. But the way that it ends shows the dead end of this lifestyle. And more than that, it doesn't really. It's not just that the ending. I mean, the ending just puts a punctuation mark on it, puts an exclamation point on it, because up till this time, we see this woman who's just out of control, and living this non-sustainable existence uh, that isn't making her happy, that isn't really, she's not really doing the way that she's living is not benefiting her. It's not to be quote unquote liberated in the way that she is. Uh, and this is the way, this was what was being touted at the time, the liberated woman, Ms. Magazine type of stuff. Um, sleeping with whoever she wants, and no guilt, no sorrow over it. Have an abortion if you need to, sterilize yourself if you want to. Uh, just all of this really frightening, degenerate kind of behavior that was really held up as an ideal, and in that. Well, I was going to say in that depraved time, but we're still in depraved times. It's just the depravity is different now. It's evolved. It's always evolving. Um, things are always in a state of flux. It's never the same, even if it's some flavor of depravity. Now, it's not the same flavor that it was at that time. But I think this movie is most interesting uh, as really, I think, what could be said to be a critique of that kind of mindset. Now, having said that, the movie offers us absolutely nothing. I mean, in a way, it's kind of a nihilistic film, because it what it shows us are, she has this string of men, uh, and they're all, you could say this is a misandrist movie as well, because there's no sympathetic male character in this movie at all. She has a bunch of guys that she sleeps with, and they're all, either psychos or well, I guess they're all psychos. They're all psychos to one degree or another. There's the Richard Gere character, who's just this sort of over the top, like, dumb thug, uh, and there's the guy who's the hateable, smirking guy who plays the stick in the mud, uptight character in all the like 70s and 80s comedies like Animal House and Ghostbusters. I don't know his name, uh, but just, very punchable face guy. He shows up. He's just like controlling. He's like a stalker, always hanging around, trying to he tries to ingratiate himself to her family, and he gets her father to like him, because he portrays himself as this nice Catholic boy. Um, so yeah, so there's no alternative that's shown. And then the guy she takes home in the end, who kills her, Tom Berenger, is this homosexual, uh, who doesn't who hates himself, and or is tired of being gay but can't help it, and when he can't get it up, and she sort of tries to laugh it off. He gets incensed, and that's what touches off the violent ending, where well, I don't want to be, I don't need to be any more detailed than I've already been about it. But so you have this string of men who are absolutely no good. The only good guy that I can think of in the movie uh, is a young LeVar Burton, who, and I didn't even talk about, gosh, I'm 21 minutes into this video. I didn't even talk about how by day this woman is, like a good citizen. She's like this teacher of deaf children, and she's very good at her job, and she's very, very compassionate, and loves the kids, and enjoys, teaching them, learns sign language, is very dedicated to her job. So, good citizen by day, and by night, just this horrific slut, alcoholic, cocaine sniffing, out of control woman. But there's one, LeVar Burton is the older brother of one of her students, and when Richard Gere's character is threatening her in the playground, he comes out and punches him in the face, and just helps her to get away. But he's not really on the table for consideration, because, well, this was 1977. They weren't going to go there. They'd go there now. They'd go there now with a woman in her 30s, a white woman in her 30s, and a young black guy, maybe barely 20, if that. But at the time, that was a bridge too far for 1977. So he's like a good guy, or he's in the scene. He does something good. But every other guy, including your father, is awful. But most of the women are awful too. Like, every character is awful in this movie. And in a way, you kind of admire it. It's like there's something to admire about that. That's like they really go to the wall. They don't hold back. But on the other hand, it's over the top, and frankly nihilistic, because as much as you could say this movie is a cautionary tale, there's nothing within the movie that really offers much in the way of an alternative to the way that she's living, and the way that her sister is living. Her sister, played by the actress Tuesday Weld, who's even more of a horrific slut than she is. Taking part in orgies and stuff, which we see. We actually see naked bodies lying on a bed. It's like this movie has got pretty much everything you could ask for or not ask for, content wise. So yeah, it was an interesting experience watching this movie again after all these years. Last time I saw it was maybe 16 or so. And an interesting cultural artifact. Have y'all seen it? What do you think? If you haven't seen it, you can watch it for free on YouTube. So let me know.